Good day everyone. For today, I'll be discussing about Python functions. So, by definition, functions are essential building blocks in programming. In simple terms, we use functions for us to be able to reuse, to modularize our codes. Specifically, if we want to redo a certain part of our code, we use a function rather than rewriting those statements all throughout again during our program. So what functions do is to minimize the codes that we have. If we want to reuse a block of code from our previous lines, we would just call the function itself and not entirely rewriting or rewriting the whole statements or code itself. So this is the basic syntax of a function. So for us to be able to know or how to create the functions, first we need to have the keyword or the reserved word def or defined for us to be able to create the function itself, followed by the function name. So our function name would be very descriptive depending upon the um, program that we need to create. So we should be very descriptive. If not, we should provide comments for us to explain what is the function is being doing, or what is the function, or what is the function does in our code. Then within that function we have the parameters itself or arguments. So these are the values that we pass on our block of codes inside the function. So inside the function, as you can see from here, is indented. It only means that all those indented parts are part of that function. So if you wrote print here, for example, it would be executed once the function is called. So below this are the codes that would be executed once the function is called. You can have multiple functions in a single program. Okay, next. For example here, so as you can see from here, we have an example, define welcome underscore message function, wherein it allows us to print the welcome computer engineering students. So to call a function, we simply use its name followed by the parentheses if we want to use that function. For example, we want to execute welcome message, so we just write or type in the welcome underscore message function along with the parentheses, open close parentheses, to execute this function. So once we execute this function, we'll be seeing the output of welcome computer engineering students. So let me just open the Tony IDE. Okay, from here, let's copy this function. Let's go back. Okay, let's copy this function. Then, as you can see from here, we define the function as welcome message. Then we have print welcome computer engineering students as the printout. So we have a comment here that this would allow us to call the function, which is the welcome underscore message. So once we run this one, let's change the syntax, error due to the quotes. Okay. So once we run this one, so we define the function itself, which is welcome underscore message. Then we call out that function, which is welcome message function. So then it executes what is the print here, or the output results based from this printout. Welcome computer engineering students. So this shows us how a basic function works. Okay, we define the function, then we do write a block of codes under it, indented. Then from the outside of the function, we could call the function or execute other statements as well after the function call out. Okay, so let me move forward. Okay, so there are examples of function with parameters. So as you can see from here, we have defined a function add numbers. Then we have two parameters here, a and b, comma b. Then the function itself prints out the summation or the sum of two numbers, which is a and b. Okay, so this is our function. What it does is add the two numbers that we give. So from here, if we are calling the function add numbers, it requires us to send two numbers. So since we have two parameters or arguments here, which is a and b, so it is expected that we are to give two numbers as well, which is 3 and 5 based from our example here. So let's execute this one and see what happens. Okay. So we first again define our function, then our function name, then we have the two parameters here, a and b. Then we have print a plus b, which is the sum of the two numbers. Then we call out the function to use, which is add numbers. Then inside the parentheses are the two values that we are expecting um to be used to call out the function since it's expecting us to provide two numbers. So let's run this one. So as you can see from here, it's 8. Since we provided the function with the two variables, therefore we have 3 and 5. Okay. If we do not provide, for example, if we do not provide anything to the function, it would cause us an error since it requires us two positional arguments or two parameters that would be thrown within this function. So expecting two variables. If not, for example, if we remove this one, same goes in the add numbers. We have not defined any numbers here. Okay, for A and B. So that's all for this one. So remember that we need to have two parameters, or based on the number of parameters you have here, you should, or it should be equivalent to the ones we are passing to our function. If we have two here and it's defined two variables here, we need two variables as well. If it is three or more, we should provide the equivalent of each of the variables that we're passing. Okay? So that explains this function with parameters example. Next is a function. After this, we will go to functions with a return statement. So a return statement allows us, so we have a return keyword here, allows us to resend or to throw back the output towards our function. So for example, if we have 5 here as the number, 5 times 2, we return the 10 towards our function. Therefore, it assigns this one, the results, equals to multiply 5. So once we print it out, we have the result of 10. So let us run the function through our tuning. So from here, again, we are expecting to return the value of this one, num times 2. So if we run this one, same goes again, we have a function defined as multiply, then we are expecting one number to be thrown out or to be received from executing the function. So from here, outside the function, we have result is equivalent or instantiate or assigned to the function multiply times 5. Multiply 5. So our function is expecting one parameter or argument to be thrown. So we have 5 here. So once we throw the 5 here, calling the function, so 5 times 2 is 10. So it will return 10. Then it would assign it to the result variable. So result is equal to 10. Therefore, once you print it out, the result is 10 from here. So again, repeating it, once we call the function, so we're expecting one value here to be returned to us. So from here, we are expecting to return the num or this result or the product towards our function to be returned here. So the 10 would be returned towards our function. Then here on this line, we call out our function and assign it to a variable, which is the result. Then we print out the result after executing the function itself. So we have 10 here. Okay. Moving forward to our discussion. So we have here built-in functions. So there are built-in functions that we could use in Python. You could read it out through any online sites since these are functions that you use only. You don't need to code it. It's already pre-built within the Python language. So you just have to read out the documentations on how we would use these built-in functions. So these are already available, or rather you can import libraries to use this kind of functions. So on the next slide, we have here several functions that we are using or we often see. So we have the Python list or the list function. So it creates a Python list that we could use throughout our program. Then we have len here. It tells us what is the size or returns the length or the size of the object that we are measuring. Then next, the most of the time we use this one input. It allows us to read and returns the line of strings. So for example, if we type a word, for example, hello, it returns us the string of hello afterwards. If we are just executing to print it out, okay. Then next is the int. So this helps us return an integer function. For example, if we include it with an input, then int, then therefore we are expecting to read a integer or a number from our code. Okay. So okay, going back, so recapping it all. So a function is a building block that we use or reuse throughout our program. So this minimizes the code that we are executing or the code that we are doing. So it prevents us to rewrite all the necessary codes that we need. We just simply call out the function, then it would redo the line of code that we done earlier. Okay, so going back, the syntax, we have the def here as the keyword or define, then the function name. Then we have here the parameters that we would be throwing. The next is the part of here is the line of code that we would be executing. Then from our example here, we define the function, which is welcome message, has the line of code of print out of welcome computer engineering students. Then we show how to call out the function. We call out the function by simply typing the name along with the parentheses. to execute the function. Then next, if we have parameters, for example here, if we have two parameters here, or our function has two parameters, we are expecting to return two parameters as well, or arguments. So if we have two here, therefore we are expecting two values as well to be returned. If not, it would cause an error towards our program. The next here, we have used the return function. So our return function or return statements allows us to return what we have done or what is the result of this um, expression that we have here. It returns the value towards our function, then it reuses or uses it if we would be able to print it out. If it doesn't print out, then we will not see the result itself. Okay. Since we have run through the functions, we'll go through some example problems. So first of the problem that we have here is that we need to create a function that counts the number of uppercase and lowercase letters in a given string from user input. So basically, for example, let's have our tone here. For example, so we are expecting, for example, we have a word here, computer engineering. Yeah, for example here, we have the computer engineering. So the program expects us to count the number of uppercase and lowercase. So for here, for example, we expect here, so we count the number of uppercase, 1, 2. So therefore, we have two uppercase letters. 2. Then we count the number of lowercase, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So for our lowercase, we have 17. So from here, we have a thought on how we would create our function. So from here, we need a function that would count if it is an uppercase, if it we count the uppercase letters, then the lowercase letters, then returns as the count. So we need to assign it to a two variables from it. Okay, we need to count or assign a variable that would store the number of counts for each. So in Python, we have a function called sum or a built-in function. This allows us to add all the results that we have. So we would need this function, for us to be able to summarize the number of uppercase or lowercase letters. Since we are counting the uppercase and lowercase, there is also a built-in function called upper and also lower. Is upper and is lower. So this determines or checks if it is an uppercase or a lowercase letter. Since we are comparing characters, or in every character we need to check, so we would define it as character that is upper, then character that is lower. So this allows us to count the characters and checks the character if it is an uppercase and lowercase. So we'll be using a for loop to run through the letters. Okay. So from here, we have this, we'll be using this one throughout our code. So I'll just comment it out. Okay. So remove this one. So let's put a comment problem one. Okay. Okay. Problem one. So first, we need to define our function. So we need to count the letters. So I'll be creating a function named count letters. Then from here, since I'm counting letters, I need to pass what word or the word itself towards my function for me to be able to execute the uppercase and lowercase comparison. So I'll be passing a word, then semicolon, then enter. So from here, as you can see from here, is already indented as expected since it would be belonging to the block of codes inside the function count letters. So now, I'll be assigning a variable. First for the uppercase, so uppercase count is equal to, so since earlier I said that we have a function named sum, so we'll be using this sum function to execute or to count or to summarize all the characters that are in uppercase. So we have here one for character in word. If character is upper. Okay. So what this functions tells us or this line of code tells us for every character that is uppercase, for example, we entered hello and H is a capital. So if it runs here, it checks is upper. So H is upper, then it returns one. In that, if that word has a capital letter, it returns one. Then checks another character in the word. Then if it is one again, it adds or summarize the capital letters. So it adds up to 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1. So until there is no more uppercase letters that are available. Then next, since we have now the uppercase count, then we have next to do the lowercase count. So same goes, we need to count some one for character in word if character is that is lower. Okay. Then afterwards, we would need to return the values. So return the uppercase count and also the lowercase count. Okay. So we have now our function here. Next is I'll be typing since we need the user input. So from here, we'll be expecting a user input. Okay. So user underscore input is equal to input since we are expecting a string, enter a word. Okay. So from here, we are storing our string towards our user input here. So next is we would be able to call our function. So we have here the upper would serve as a container later on for the uppercase count, then lower for the content of the lowercase count. Then we equate it. Let's call our function count letters. Okay. Then we provide one parameter here. So our parameter would be the user input since we're expecting one parameter. Then we print out our uppercase and lowercase. Okay. So let's print it out. Okay. Number of uppercase letters. Case letters. Okay. Then we call in the upper, which is this one. Okay. Then next is for the lowercase. Let's copy this one. Lower. Lowercase. Okay. Using the same input we have earlier. So example input, computer, computer engineering. We are expecting uh two two uppercase and 17 lowercase letters. So let's type here, run our code. Okay, let's add a space here. Rerun our code. Computer engineering. Okay, as you can see from here, as expected, we have two uh uppercase letters, which is C and E. Then 17 letters from the small letters. Then another example, input BSCPE 1-2 BSCPE students. Okay, let's run. BSCPE students. So would be expecting 3, 4, 5 uppercase letters, and so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 8 lowercase letters. Okay, let's start. Let's enter this one. Okay, we have 5 uppercase and 8 lowercase letters from here. So this solves our first problem that we have in Python for counting letters. Okay, so let's comment this out for problem number 2. Okay, so this is for problem number 1. For problem number 2, okay, yeah. So we need two write a function that accepts three numbers from user input and returns the maximum number. Okay. So for example, as an input, example input, 1, then input 2 is 3, then the third input is 2. Therefore, our output would be 3. Since the larger number of the three numbers is 3. Okay? So let's write the function itself. Okay, since we are getting the larger number, let's find the large number. Okay. Then, since we are expecting three numbers, so we have first num, second num, then third number. Since we are requiring to compare three numbers, then semicolon. Then, since we want to return or compare three numbers, we have a function called max. So this max function compares all the three numbers and find the largest among these numbers. So since we have this one, we'll just input the first number, second number, then third number. Okay? So this would return as the larger of the three numbers. Okay? Then next would be typing the user inputs. Get the user inputs. So from here, we'll be assigning three numbers. So let's use the previous one. First number is equal to float. Since there are times you would be expecting numbers that has decimal places. Then float, then input. Okay. Enter first number. Okay, let's copy this one. Then second number. Then lastly, the third number. Okay. Then after this, we would assign the results of this number. So we would be calling out our function larger number. Then we'll be passing these three values. First number, first number, second number, and third num. Okay. So then it would be assigned to the results variable. Then let's print out the results. The three numbers is comma results. Okay. Okay, let's run the program. Let's enter, for example, the one we given, 1. 3, and 2. Therefore, the largest number among the three numbers is 3. Since we use float, it instantiates the float as the output of our number. Okay, let's try again. Example, another input example. Input 25, input 25, input 27. Okay, 25, 25, 27. So the largest among the three numbers is 27. Okay, so this tells us or gives us the problem number 2. Okay, then third problem, let's go back to our slides here. So write a function that would check the user input is a palindrome or not. So what is a palindrome? So let's comment out our in our tuning. Let's comment out our function here. Okay. So problem number 3. Problem 3. So what is a palindrome? So simply a palindrome is a word that is when you reverse it, it would be the same word. For example, Anna. So this is a palindrome. Since if you reverse these letters or reverse the word itself, it would be still Anna. Another is race car. If we reverse the word race car, it is still a palindrome. Okay? Okay. Okay, let's try. So first, we need to define our function again. So is palindrome. Palindrome. So from here, we're expecting to pass a word. Okay. And then we need to return. Okay. Word is equal to. So we'll be using a slice function here. So word. Okay. Then we have here the slice function. So it means that it would count one by one until you arrive to or checks if the string is equal to its reverse itself. Once you reverse this string that you input, so let's put a comment. It's reverse. Okay. Then afterwards, since we already defined our function, we have here the slicing method. Then we would need to get the user input. Okay. So user input is equal to the input. Enter a word. Enter a word. Okay. Then we provide uh since we have a function here, we need to check if it is a palindrome. So we would be calling out or using an if else statement to use our function. So is palindrome. If is palindrome, then we're expecting one input or one variable to be thrown. So we get the user input variable from the our enter word. Then we would be comparing it. So print. So user input is a palindrome. A palindrome. Then else print. Then let's copy this one. Is not a palindrome. Okay. So this ends our code. So let's try and run. Okay. Expecting a semicolon here. Let's run. Sir input as expected palindrome word. So expecting semicolon here. Then run. Okay. Okay. Yeah, okay. So let's put a space here. Okay. Let's try Anna. It's not a palindrome. Let's try again. Anna is a palindrome since it also includes a. So this is not a palindrome since we considered also uppercase and lowercase here. Race car. Race car. So it's a palindrome. Okay. If we try race car, it's not a palindrome since it hasn't have the uppercase as well. If we try race car, it's a palindrome since R are the same of the same case is uppercase. So it results to a palindrome. Since this code that I created doesn't consider if it is an uppercase or disregard if it is an uppercase or lowercase. It really exhibits that it should be the uppercase as well on the end. Okay, let's try numbers. So it's a palindrome. 1212. It's not a palindrome since when you reverse the number, it would be 2121. Okay. So that's all for the third problem. Then for our fourth problem, so is to write a function that would classify a triangle into equilateral, isosceles, and scaling based on its sides. If it is not of the three, then the sides might be of a negative value. So let's start. Okay. So let's start from here. Problem number 4. Or so how do we define a first an equilateral? An equilateral triangle has all its sides as equivalent. For example, A is 1, B is equal to 1, then C is equal to 1. Therefore, we could classify as an equilateral triangle. Then next is we have isosceles triangle. So how do we define an isosceles triangle? So an isosceles triangle has um is either the A or B or A and C are equal. So for example, A is equal to 1, B is equal to 1, then C is equal to a different number. So either A or B or C, or A or C are equal. So at least two of the sides are equal. C is equal to 3. Then lastly, in the scalene. So if all of these are not met, so it's different of all the sides, then it's a scalene triangle. A is equal to 1, B is equals to 2, then C is equal to 3. So therefore, it's a scalene. Otherwise, um, invalid invalid input. Okay. So let's start by defining our function. Let's define, classify triangle by sides. Okay. So we're expecting three sides. Side A, side 1, side 2, and side 3. Okay. Then we do an if else statement here. So from here inside, we would conduct an if else statement. If A, for example, is less than or equal to 0, we check if it is a negative number, or B is equal to or less than or equal to 0, or C is less than or equal to 0. So therefore, if we consider this tree, if A is less than or equal to 0, or B is less than or equal to 0, or C is less than or equal to 0, then let's return invalid input, since this would produce an A as a negative numbers or invalid sides. Next, if A is equal to B equal to C, therefore this is an equilateral. Or side A, side 1, side 2, and side 3. Sorry for that. Side 2 is equal to side 3. Okay. Therefore, return equilateral triangle. Then, else if A is equal to B, or B is equal to C, or, sorry, side 1, side 2, then side 2, side 3, or side 1 or is equal to side 3. Okay. Then return isosceles triangle. Triangle. Then lastly, else return scalene. Scalene triangle. From here, we'll be printing out our. So let's create the main program itself, the start triangle by sides. Then we get the user inputs. From here. So we have three user inputs. Let's reuse. Side 1 is equal to float. Since we could be expecting 8 decimal places. Then so on and so forth. Side 2. Then side 3. Then let's create the container for the results is equal to, let's call out our function. Then we expect three inputs to be called. Then let's print out. The triangle is a, then, okay. Then call out the variable. Okay. So we have here defined the triangle sides, or created our conditions. Then we print out what is the name of the program. Then we get the number or the inputs, which is the three sides. Then call out our function. Okay. Then produce three inputs or three values to be passed. Then print out the triangle type. So let's run this one. Okay. Let's put a separator. Okay. Let's rerun. So first side 1, let's try 1, 1, 1. Therefore, is an equilateral. The triangle is an equilateral triangle. Okay, let's try again. 1, 1, 1 is an equilateral triangle. Okay. Then let's try isosceles. 1, 1, 3. So 1, 1, 3 is an isosceles. Since a side 1 and side 2 are equal, then side 3 is different. So let's try if it is different side. Okay, 3, 1, 1. So therefore is an isosceles triangle. Then lastly, if we input negative numbers, negative 1, 1, and 1, therefore an invalid input, sir, since there should not be an invalid side. Then lastly, let's try scalene. So scalene is different sides. So it's an scalene triangle since it has three different sides. Okay. So that's all for today. I hope you learned something from the discussion of the problems that we have. Okay, recapping it all. First, the first problem is about uppercase and lowercase. So we count the number of uppercase letters and lowercase letters, then print out its numbers. Then second, the program allows us to find the largest number among three numbers. Okay. Then thirdly, we create a palindrome if it tells us if a word is a palindrome or a number is a palindrome or not, which considers the lowercase or uppercase of it. Then lastly, we have the triangle classification. So we classify the triangles by its sides. So please classify it as an invalid input if we have negative numbers. Then we also did a um check if it is equilateral, if all the sides are equal. Then isosceles if either two sides are equal, is either side 1 or side 2 or side 2 or side 3 are equal or side 1 or side 3 are equal. Then lastly, we define it as scalene triangle if all sides are different besides being a negative number. So that's all for today. I hope you learned something for our discussion for functions. That's all for the next discussion. We'll be discussing lists. So we'll be using lists all throughout our inputs or our container that we'll be using to loop around certain um, values that we had. So that's all for today. Thank you.